Hello, business building warrior. My name's Jim, and I'm the guy that gets to interview all the successful students from our podcast listening community. Today, we got another great one. I love bringing guests on our show, all levels of success stories. Some people who've been at it a few months, seeing their first $10,000 month, and other people who have got multiple seven-figure businesses giving us insights how to play the game at scale. Today, someone who's been with us about 7, 8 months, I think we said. He joined us over the summer. Here we are, early 2025, and he jumped into our coaching program early on, and he just raves about the results he's getting. Check out this. He's getting net margins of around 30% net margins. That's incredible. Turning your money over multiple times per year, 6 to 8, maybe even 10 times in a year, turning your money over at 30% net, at 60 to 80% ROI. Do the math. That's an incredible business model. He works full time. He has a full-time job, but he and his wife, in the spare time that he has, have built an incredible business selling tens of thousands of dollars of easily sourced products at very nice margins on Amazon using the replans system that we teach here. If you don't know what replans is, you need to get into the Proven Amazon course. And after you listen to Ken's story today, I think you're going to be eager to do just that if you haven't yet. It's an exploding opportunity with a ridiculously bright future because more and more people are shopping online. Amazon continues to expand and grow. And once you see the opportunity through the lens that we introduced today, it's not about selling stuff cheaper than your competition. It's about helping fill the underserved shelf space at Amazon's hundreds of warehouses. And once you understand that that's the opportunity we're talking about, that's what Ken is doing. He even alludes today that on many of the products he sells, there's a good handful of other competing sellers, but he's not the lowest price. He doesn't have to be. He's serving underserved shelf space where people are willing to pay more for his inventory because it arrives faster to them. Because Amazon, again, has hundreds of warehouses, and a lot of them, even the most popular items, are understocked. We prove it around here every day. These easily sourced items from retail stores around you, easily sourced online. You don't have to wait for sales or discounts. You don't have to scan barcodes and look for a price advantages. All you got to do is help fill the underserved shelf space. And there's millions of products right now on Amazon that are underserved. It really is wide open. And Ken's just another example. He was a skeptical newbie just several months ago, and now he's got a great business and he's thrilled for the future. Sky's the limit. He talks about several tools today. I'll have links to all of those in the show notes. He talks about tools like Sellerboard and Nepeto, Keepa, Smart Scout, Seller Amp. Several things are mentioned. Go to the show notes because we have discounts on many of those associated with our affiliate link. Because we have so many users, quite often we get great deals and discounts on those tools. Go to the show notes and look for the links if there's any of those tools that you want to investigate if you're curious about them. I think that's all I've got for you, other than just to point out that Ken did go through our coaching program, and towards the last, I would say last 5 minutes or so, I asked if there's anything else he wanted to talk about, and he wanted to talk about that because he's had such a great experience. So if you're kind of skeptical or kind of checking out or maybe interested in our coaching program, listen to what Ken has to say. Listen to the last, make sure you catch the last 5 to 10 minutes of today's episode where I'm talking to Ken. He spells it out for you, exactly what he was thinking, why he did it, why he can easily justify it as a great investment now. And we discuss why it's way more expensive not to have a coach. We say all the time around here, the only thing more expensive than our coaching program is ignoring our coaching program, because you could have gone so much further faster without the mistakes along the way that took you forever to get to where you wanted to go. How about we get there faster using a guide who's been there, done that, and can get you on the road and keep you from making the silly mistakes that ultimately cost you way more than the price of coaching ever would have cost you. That's why we do what we do around here. We're good at it. We'd love to serve you. Well, let's get over and talk to Mr. Ken McAllister. I think you're going to really enjoy this conversation with him. He's coming on board right now. But Ken, welcome to Silent Sales Machine Radio. Good to see you, man.
Yeah, thanks, Jim. I appreciate you having me here.
Just love, this is the best part of my job. I love hearing the stories of the very real people from our community, building businesses, getting out there, hitting it. And you're a name that floated from our coaching team saying, you got to talk to this guy. So I'm really looking forward to diving in if you're ready.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, let's hear your story, man.
Sure. Yeah, I got involved with e-commerce. Probably it was back in early 2023, and I was looking for something just to, just in addition to my income. I was working remotely, and I had a lot of spare time on my hands, and I had just went through getting my MBA, and I had finished that, and I was thinking, hey, maybe I could start my own business or do something, to make some money on the side. I mean, I have a full-time job and I pretty busy with that and it's pretty demanding, but I had some spare time on my hands. So I just started looking at different things and I had seen a lot of videos, just a lot of people, showing videos about, hey, you can make extra money selling on Amazon and this and that. And I was like, oh, this is interesting. And so I started looking into that a little bit. And then, that kind of led me to really getting involved with selling on eBay. So I was like, oh, it looks easier to set this up on eBay, and so I could start selling right now. And I was still trying to figure out the whole Amazon thing just from videos I was seeing online. People would give you bits and pieces, but it wasn't the whole information that I needed to really get going. So I wasn't confident enough with that yet. So I had started. Looking for products and doing OA and doing RA and learning how to do that and navigate that, and then selling stuff on eBay primarily at first. But I really got tired of that real quickly because I was having to do my job, and then I was having to run over to Lowe's and try to get this deal, or over to Walmart and get these things while they were on sale and this and that. And I'd get there and they weren't there, and they just drive over to 3 Walmarts, and so it was just really becoming very cumbersome, and I was making money at it and I was doing okay. I had started to build a little fund, but then I really started looking more into Amazon stuff, and I got hooked up with somebody who was doing wholesale, and I thought, oh, wholesale, that's it, wholesale. I need to do wholesale, if I'm going to do this thing. And I bought a course from someone about doing wholesale, and I was learning all the stuff, and I was trying to set up, vendors and all this other stuff. But what I've realized recently is I did set up some vendors and I got a lot of good contacts, and I got a lot of lists of products that I could buy, but I didn't know what to do with them. I didn't I
Right.
didn't know. I would look at them all, and the pricing, I was like, what am I gonna make on this? I'm gonna make $1 on this, but I didn't know how to really read Amazon, and I didn't know how everything at Amazon works. So I'm looking to be the best price seller on every ad, and I'm like, "I'm not gonna make any money on this." What am I gonna buy a pallet of this stuff and then be stuck with it and all of this? So I really got a little fearful of that. So then, I kind of backed off of that, and then branded bundles. I thought, "Oh, branded bundles. This is my thing. I'm gonna get my own brand, and I'm gonna make branded bundles." And that's how I ended up really, connecting with the pack course, because I was searching for branded bundle material, branded bundle videos that I could watch about doing it and everything. And I ended up finding some stuff on the pack course. And I was like, who are these guys? The proven Amazon course. And so I started looking into that, and I was like, oh, this is pretty good stuff here, and it's all here. So, I signed up for pack and I went in and I started watching the videos and going through the videos and different things. And, it was really good information, and it was the whole story. It was really the stuff that I needed to hear that was filling in the gaps of everything else that I had been watching on the internet, where somebody would tell you this or tell you that, but then they weren't giving you the whole story. So I felt really confident with that, moving forward. And so I set up, that's what I really wanted to do. I wanted to do branded bundles. I set up my own brand. I did all that. I navigated through all that. I got everything all together, and then just trying to figure it all out. And then someone had contacted me through the pack course about coaching, and I was thinking, yeah, I don't know if I want to do that right now. I'm just getting going, and I'm trying to watch my funds and this and that and everything, and I just don't have the time for that or what. And then really started thinking about it, and I was like, you know what? I could muddle around with this for another 3 or 4 years and probably figure something out that's going to work, or I could maybe sign up for coaching and learn, direct from somebody who's been doing it that can help me fast track to where I want to be. And I'm thinking, well, how much is that, really worth to me? And I'm like, at this point, it's invaluable to me. I can't even really put a price on it because I could be there, soon, very soon, instead of, down the road. And who knows, I may give up or something else.
That's one of the things that we say, Ken, to when people think about coaching. Am I a good fit? We say, are you ready to go further faster? Do you have the margin in your life to go further faster?
Yeah.
Need a little bit of money? Need a little bit of time?
Yeah.
Are you healthy physically? All right. Do you have the relational margin? Does your wife think you're crazy? Right? Like you're not doing another thing. And so you maybe need to take some time and prove it out,
Sure.
right? Before you have that margin in your life. Schedule, right? You have the adequate time, 10, 15 hours or so a week to commit to this. If you're positioned with the margin to go further faster, it's more expensive not to get a coach because like you just said, 3 or 4 years of muddling around, getting semi-decent advice from 15 random sources, that's not going to get you there, man. No, the whole thing of figuring out on your own can be dangerous as well, because not only does it take more time, but there's edges to this business that if you step off that cliff thinking you're doing the right thing, there's a very real cost associated with
Sure.
selling on an ASIN that's misbranded, for example. New sellers have no idea what that means.
I had no idea.
You could have just sabotaged yourself, right?
Sure.
It's like you've just shut down your business 6 months from now without even realizing it because you violated a policy that you didn't even know existed.
Yeah.
So not only do you go further faster, but you avoid the landmines as you're doing so. And the cost of that, like you said, priceless. I would start to agree, man. This is a sky is the limit business opportunity. You want to do things right, and especially in those initial stages. So I'm glad you spent a little time on that because I think that's valuable things for people to hear.
Yeah. And I feel that it's really helped me build a business with integrity and something that I know is safe. I see a lot of people that have different issues that happen because, like you said, they sold on ASIN that they shouldn't have sold on, or that they can't provide proof of the chain of custody of where everything came from. And
Authenticity of the product. That's right.
yeah, I mean, once I started selling more and my sales picked up, I started getting hit with those things from Amazon. And at first, I mean, first couple times it happened, I was a little bit worried, right? But I had everything, and it came from a legitimate source, and I took it and I submitted it, and they said, okay, good to go.
Right.
I had a couple brands that were like, hey, where did you get these? That counterfeit claim against me and all the other stuff. But I had bought it from a legitimate source, and I had just submitted my stuff, and it was taken care of like same day almost.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
It's such a black and white issue that
yeah,
is treated with such confusion out there online, but with literally thousands of people who have gone through our training and sold. And I'm aware of 0 incidents where people who understood the rules and played within the rules ended up being penalized permanently by Amazon in some way for their actions. But you got to know the rules, and you don't instinctively know them. Sometimes people think,
oh,
yeah,
sure.
as long as I got an invoice, I'm good, right? Well, no, not the invoice is from, Al's bargain bin basement, and he's doing pallets of shelf pulls and liquidations.
Yeah,
That's not legitimate inventory. That invoice does not protect you or prove the authenticity of your product, right? Anything you buy off the shelf at a Walmart, that's good to go. That receipt is 100% good 100% of the time. That there's confusion because people don't understand where those lines are. So yeah, you were wise. So that's one great example of, I'm sure you could brainstorm, we could together many examples of
yeah,
those little mines that you avoided because you had someone guiding you. And the proven Amazon course will do that for you, but you can go a lot further, a lot faster if you're just doing that one-on-one interaction, right?
absolutely. Yeah, and it's just super helpful to get some feedback from somebody who's been doing it for a while and understands all this stuff and is taking a look at everything, and kind of, steering and saying, not so much telling you exactly what you need to do, but helping you to understand why it's this way, and why it works. And even a lot of times I may not understood exactly why, but I just took it on my coach's advice that he knew what he was talking about. And so I said, well, let's just give it a try and see what happens. And then bam, it's like, wow, this really does work like this if you follow it. And, yeah, so when I signed up for coaching, my main intent to sign up for coaching, I had about 20 ASINs that I was selling, and they were pretty much all similar things that I had acquired through wholesaling. I did find a couple products that I was making a little bit of money. I was making my money back, put it that way. I was breaking even. So I had some sales, but I wasn't making a lot of profit. And so I had those ASINs. And then when I signed up for coaching, I had mentioned, yeah, I want to do branded bundles. That's what I want to learn about, branded bundles, and so they had directed me to Leanna. She was my reactive coach, and my proactive coach was Brian Olson. So I had met with Brian, and then I told him about the bundles, and then I had talked with Leanna, and then Leanna asked me, she said, well, how many ASINs do you have? And I said, well, I have maybe 20 or 25 active ones, right? And she said, well, you really need to get 100. You need to get at least 100 ASINs. And I was like, I mean, at this point, I'm like, 100 ASINs? How am I ever going to get to 100 ASINs?
Yeah, sure.
And I'm thinking that's just like a monumental thing. And I said, well, she said, you need to build trust with Amazon, and you're going to do this by building your business and building the ASINs and different things like that. So uh, I was like, I was a little bit discouraged, actually, and I was like, oh man, and then I talked to Brian, and he said, well, let's talk about this replan model. And I'd seen it. I didn't really understand it. I didn't know about testing ASINs and all of that. So Brian, explained a lot of it to me, and I watched some more videos on the pack course about testing ASINs and doing all of that stuff. And all of a sudden, I wasn't too focused on branded bundles anymore. I was like, man, this replan thing is where it's at. Why, if I can find something that I can replenish every time that I need it, and I'm not going to buy it on sale, I'm not going to look for a discount. I'm going to find things that I can just go buy when I run out of stock and send them in. And I started doing that. I started looking for the ASINs and building my catalog. And lo and behold, I mean, I found some pretty good ones. I searched through a lot. I did a lot of manual searching, right? To say that I didn't spend time on it would be an understatement, because I spent a lot of time going through ASINs hour after hour and Keepa charts and different things. And I learned to use the Keepa charts and do that. I mean, I'm still just a beginner, but things are coming together because I have a good base, and I got directed in a proper way through the coaching, which I mean, I started in July, started in coaching July last year. And I mean, I wouldn't be where I'm at right now without that. I'd still be fumbling around trying to, make some profit or who knows what at this point, but I know I wouldn't be where I am now. And, with having a full-time job that's very busy, having that extra help just really helped me to streamline and get to this point, because it's just there's so much to learn, right? There's really a lot going on with Amazon and just the different things. I mean, people, yeah, they say, oh, start selling on Amazon, and they make it sound easy, but it's not really
It's work.
easy. It's not easy to navigate, because you don't know. You only know what you know, and you don't know all of the stuff that's going to happen. Just all of the stuff that Amazon has going on. So, I started building the replan catalog that I have, and I found some really good ones, and I was doing pretty well. And I mean, you could, if you looked at my sales, since I started coaching, I think, I started in July, and then maybe in August, I had like $1,000 worth of sales because I had started sending some stuff in. And then probably September, I maybe hit 4,000 or something. But then, October was like over 10. And then November was over 20. And I was just like, it's just going, up and up. And, one of the things that Brian told me is just, you make a shipment every week. Make sure you're shipping something in every week. And I was like, okay. So I got in the habit of doing that, of putting my shipment together for the week. And then I got to where I was shipping, maybe 2 times a week, because I had so much stuff that I needed to ship in. And when I would go, I didn't realize at first that it was all snowballing, right? That I was sending this stuff in, and I was like, man, this fulfillment center it's been there for 6 weeks. They haven't even checked it in. It's not even in there yet, right? But I had all these other ones that were being checked in. So as I'm sending it in, when I started going into my shipment page, I mean, you can do like 50 shipments or something on the page there. Pretty soon none of them were closed. They were all open. And I'd go to the next page and they were all open. I had so many shipments and they all started just going in and different ones would come and then my inventory would be in there and I'd start making sales on those and different things. And it was pretty eye opening to see how it just snowballed, one after another. And then I noticed actually in December, my shipments kind of slowed down a little bit in December because I was trying to, navigate Q4 and I stepped out and I did some testing on things, toys and different stuff that I was trying to see, well, does this really sell? Is it going to sell? I mean, I can do a test on it and I can send it in now in November, but I mean, I'm not really going to get it into FBA anytime, after the 1st of December. And I didn't know. So I kind of backed off on the stuff I was doing and driving my shipments in. And then I'll tell you what, those shipments all started closing in December. And then I really watched my revenue to go down in January because I had stopped my constant shipments in there. And so beginning of January, I mean, I picked that back up, right? And just now I can look back on my page and it's full of, open shipments that are on their way in and being delivered. And I'm just going to keep shipping them in. That's what I got to do. I got to keep finding agents and shipping them in. But
Keep feeding the machine. Yeah, that routine, getting into that routine, getting into those habits, establishing those. I ship at least once a week, if not twice, and you reap the benefit of today's work. If you're doing FBA, sending shipments to Amazon, you reap the benefits of today's work. 4 to 6 weeks from now is when you start seeing the results. But you got to get those wheels turning. And if you take a break today for, say, a week or two, you're going to see that hit a month to 6 weeks from now. We're like, hey, nothing's selling. Oh, yeah, that's right. I didn't send in any shipments a month ago. Right. So, yeah, but it's such a fun churn and you get so used to it that it becomes second nature, the churn. But you mentioned the 100 ASINs that was kind of your initial goal that Leanna had dropped on you. Where are you at now? How many ASINs are you selling against?
Yeah, I'm just under 100 right now, and I mean I had over 100, but I also some of them weren't productive, and so I mean ones that I had tested right and stuff. And I mean not all of them pan out. They don't.
They come and go. Some of them are very temporary. Some of them never pan out. Some of them will be with you for a few years. You don't get emotionally attached to any, right?
Yeah, definitely. But the testing, I'm not losing money. I mean, there's been a few instances where I have maybe lost a couple dollars because what I do is, because of the split shipment thing with Amazon and everything, I needed to send in 5 of the identical items. So that's what I send in. I send in 5. I buy 5. I buy in 5s, right? I buy in 5s, 10s, 15s, 20, whatever I can put in there that's going to go in the 5 boxes for the shipment of the week. So when I'm testing stuff, I test 5. So I can put 1 in each box and then we'll send it in and I can avoid those, split shipment charges, which were pretty astronomical when they did that. That kind of worried me a little bit how I was going to get around that. But then I saw you just need to ship in the right amount of stuff and, those aren't there anymore.
Right.
But so, I mean, if I did, lose on a couple, I'd mark them down to where I broke even and pretty much got rid of them or maybe a little bit below or took a little loss, but it wasn't anything detrimental to me or my business or my bank account on that. And
let me just repeat back to what I just heard you say, Ken, just to for the listener's sake and for clarity's sake. You're finding many ASINs and you're testing them. Your worst case scenario, on the vast majority of them, with rare exception, is you get your money back. That's what we call it, a test.
Yeah, right.
Then didn't quite work out. You put $10 in the machine, you get $9.80 back out. Okay, I'm not going to do that again.
Yeah.
There's only a few units.
Yeah.
But the best case scenario is incredible margins. And that's the system that we're playing. And you can easily source more anytime you need to. Go get a handful more, 5 or 10, whatever, send them in. At no point are you rolling the dice, taking big risks.
Yeah.
Scaling slow.
Right. And that's pretty comforting because I mean, it's hard to go all in when you're unsure, And I mean, in the past, in my life, I'm a kind of all in guy. I always go full speed ahead. And what I'm finding with this business is I can't go faster than Amazon is going to let me grow. And so I've got to slow down a little bit. And even my wife is like, man, this She goes, I'm seeing another side of you. Usually you're like over the top, going
Yeah.
all in. And, and of course I want to I want to buy 10,000 of that ASIN and I want to send them all in and do
Right.
that. But you can't, you know what I mean?
Nope.
And I learned I did buy too much of inventory before I started coaching, when I was first doing wholesale, and I sent it in and it sat there and it sat there. I didn't sell it all. And then after it had sat there for 9 months, 12 months, I still had some of it in there and I started getting hit with these huge inventory charges. And I was like, oh my gosh, and it made me realize, you just gotta feed it what it's gonna consume.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah. We try to,
so
if it hasn't moved within a couple months,
yeah,
we're dropping into the buy box, dropping our prices down to
but
break
get it out of there. Yeah.
anything, right? Because those long-term storage fees, yeah, they'll hit you.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I definitely go through that. And what I had learned in coaching was, to let it sit there so let it sit for the first 30 days and see what it does there. And after that, I'm going to start every week. I'm going to lower it until I get to my break
Yep.
even.
Yep.
Hopefully,
A wise strategy. And,
yeah,
the stuff that's selling at a winning profit, you get a
yeah,
few more. The stuff that's not, you
sure,
taper out, check back on it later, right?
yeah,
These aren't complex concepts, but building the system to manage it at scale is where the
yeah,
complexity comes in, and dealing with the little interruptions, the things you didn't anticipate, which is why having someone who's been there, done that 1,000 times is very helpful,
yeah.
right? Very good. So you mentioned some of your numbers. You've mentioned that things have picked up. You got about 100 ASINs now. What numbers are you comfortable sharing with us? How's business looking?
It's been really good, and it's continuing to pick up since I started coaching. Well, just primarily, the first couple of months, I was just sending stuff in and didn't do too much. But in the last 5 months, I've done $90,000 in sales, but my margin is just a little bit over 33% all in.
It's
So yeah, net and
33% net before you pay
33%.
yourself.
Yeah,
Wow. That's
and
nice.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's doing very well. And I can tell you that I didn't think I was making any money because I was doing all this stuff and I was getting all these fees, all this, I had all this inventory that I was sending in and then all this stuff. And Amazon kept charging me every time I turned around. There were fees and fees and fees. And I had a spreadsheet. I was putting it on a spreadsheet and I was trying to figure it all out. But I just had so much volume of stuff that started to go through that I'm looking at everything and I'm thinking, yeah, well, I'm making some money. I knew I was making some, but I hadn't really started getting the payouts from Amazon for some of the stuff yet because even, after it gets in there, you got to wait a couple weeks before you're going to
They
get a
put the
payment.
reserve on you. They're going to hold some of your
Yeah,
money till they like you and
yeah,
trust you, right?
yeah. So that didn't really start hitting yet. And, I was looking at that and I was talking with my coach, Brian Olson, about it. And, he asked me if I had, ever heard of seller board and he showed me on his seller board the different stuff that it did and everything. And we went through that and there was a free trial, 60-day free trial on seller board. And, so I was like, yeah, let me try it out. And I went in there and I had all my costs. All I had to do was plug in all my costs. I linked it to my account. It was really easy. I mean, it linked all of my ASINs in my account in my catalog. It put them in there, and then I just put in my COGS, and it rolled all the numbers. And I mean, when I saw the margins on the stuff that I was making, I was astounded. And then it had all the Amazon fees. It took all of these fees that I didn't even understand, clawback and this and that, and all this other refunds and everything. And I mean, I was just, it just seemed like I was being charged so much by them that I really didn't think I was making a lot. I thought maybe I was making 10% or 12% or something. So when I saw it, and then the next time I had met with Brian, we went over it and I showed him and we went over all the numbers to make sure I input everything right. He was like, "Yeah, this is pretty good. You found some good ones in here. You're doing pretty well here with this." And yeah, so that really reinvigorated my appetite for finding more
Yeah.
ASINs, growing a little
So
more.
33% net margin. I got to imagine you're probably looking for ROI, what, 60 to percent minimum, 80 plus. You're seeing a lot of 80% ROI.
Yeah, on my really good ones, that's where I'm at. It was just 60 to 70.
Yeah.
I have a few that are probably the bulk of my
Right.
cells.
The 80/20 rule is always going to apply.
Yeah,
Now that you're at 100 ASINs, I can tell you that you've got 10 to 20 that are your favorites that represent probably 80% of your book of business. And the rest are kind of filling in that extra 20%, right? Like
Yeah.
you're always going to have that. But as you go from 100 to 200, it'll still be true. But now you're going to have twice as many
Sure.
ASINs that are kind of carrying the weight.
Yeah.
So at any given time, any given month, you're going to have a handful, approximately 20% of your catalog that's carrying most of the weight of the net margins that you're achieving. That's just the nature of the business. And that's a rule in many, many areas of life, but it's definitely a rule here. Hey, before we get back to the episode, let me take just a minute to thank a great sponsor of this community, of this show, Profit Cyclops. Get over to silentjim.com/Cyclops, Cyclops, and see the $2 per month offer that they have for new sellers. If you're running a small Amazon selling business that hasn't done $5,000 or more per month yet, but you would still like to know with tremendous insight which of your products are making you money and which ones are not, you've got to know your numbers, and Profit Cyclops lays it all out right in front of you very quickly. So easy to set up. Just plug it in and you're going to know your business in a way that you've never known it before. And look at this. For just $2 per month, you also get a reimbursement service, which means they're monitoring what Amazon owes you. Pretty cool. They're also doing repricing for you, a new feature they're rolling in. $2 per month. Get over to Profit Cyclops and check them out at silentjim.com/Cyclops, Cyclops. Tell them we sent you. Check them out. You can't go wrong for $2 a month. These guys have been doing it the right way for a long time, and we're honored to bring them on as a sponsor of our community. Let's get back to the episode. It's a rule in many, many areas of life, but it's definitely a rule here, which is why we say there's nothing stopping you, Ken, from having, say, 500 or 1,000 or 2,000 ASINs. You've built a system. You're getting better at finding them faster. Soon that'll be your reality, and you can then double, triple, quadruple the numbers you're seeing, and your margins will start to drop a little bit as you build a system. 30% net margins is really solid.
Yeah.
But don't hold yourself to that standard as you add in a virtual assistant and then maybe someone to do the prep and ship for you. They got to get paid. But if you're freeing up your time and you've still got this 20%, say, net margin machine running that requires only a few hours a week of your time, that's an amazing business.
Absolutely.
It's been built. And you're on the cusp of that. You're much closer to it than I think you realize.
I think you may have better insight into how close I am than I do, because I'm kind of like, yeah, I'm still, just muddling through this thing and figuring it out with my
It's a
my
gradual, then all
job.
of a sudden kind of business. Like you look over your shoulder one day and you're like,
Yeah.
wow, I just had an $80,000 month and I didn't work any harder. In fact, I didn't work anywhere near as hard as my first $10,000 month.
Yeah.
Because you're building systems, you're getting better at it. Things are kind of running in a smooth process. You've put systems in place. The stuff you used to do, that used to take you 5 hours, you've got someone else doing now, and it takes them only an hour to do it,
Yeah.
right? Because that's all they do. And
Sure.
you got a small team helping you. We've seen people with multiple 7-figure businesses with a team of 2, right? So it's not like you have to hire a bunch of people as this thing
Yeah.
grows. But you're putting good systems in place and you're doing it the right way, man. Congratulations. Yeah, you've got a beautiful business. And you've been with us, what, if I do the math, you said summer, so 7, 8 months?
Yeah.
And
Yes, just beginning of July last year.
yeah. So here we are, still early 2025, February, early February. Man, that's a beautiful business. Well done. And you're working full time. And is it just you? I just want to be clear. Is it just you?
Well, my wife helps with prepping and packaging and
Sure.
stuff like that.
Okay, good.
She's not like deeply involved in the business. She doesn't
Right.
want to be. She's
Yeah.
she's retired, so she helps
Yeah.
with packaging and stuff like that. She's good with that, which helps me out a lot because I don't have
Sure. Yeah. That busy work, someone's got to put it in a box, put tape
Sure.
on the box, slap the labels on it.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
repetitive stuff. Some people pay a neighborhood kid. Some people will use a prep center,
Yeah.
right? Have your inventory sent somewhere else. So
Yeah,
you're
I think
primarily
that's
shopping online now for your stuff? Or are you going to stores? Or how do
No,
you
it's all
product?
been online. Doing shopping online. I mean, I used to, we'd go to the store and I'd be off looking at different stuff and this and that, but I rarely do that anymore.
Yeah.
It's just all using Geppetto and keep just doing manual searches and different things, looking for stuff. And really this week, I really stumbled back. I stumbled back to where I started with the wholesaling. I was looking back through one of my folders on my list of wholesalers that I had, and I was like, oh yeah, I have these spreadsheets in here that these guys gave me with pricing. And this is when I realized that when I got these from them, I didn't know what I was looking at.
Right.
Because I didn't understand Amazon, and I didn't understand I didn't need to be the lowest seller on the listing. I didn't understand that about testing. I didn't know that, hey, I need to send a few of these in and see if I can sell them, and break even. Because everything I remember when I started going through the list, I said, oh yeah, there was all kinds of stuff in here that I would break even on that I wasn't going to make money on, so I passed on it. So now I've started going back through these lists. I even opened up one account with a really large wholesaler, grocery wholesaler that is right here local to me. They're actually right across the street from my work, and I can will call everything there and pick it up over there. So I started going back to the list. Well, I logged into my account, and of course, I hadn't been on there in a while, and it was like inactive, contact accounts payable, and this and that. And so I contacted them, and they said it was due to inactivity. And I was like, hey, can you reactivate it? Because I'm interested in purchasing now. And so I went in there. I've already made, just this last week, I've already made several purchases from them on stuff that I'm going to test. And also they had a couple of my ASINs that I've been selling that I'm getting them cheaper now on this wholesaler than what I've been paying for them. So
Nice.
that was helpful. So yeah, it's like going back and, not realizing what I had at the beginning. I just didn't know what to do with it.
Right.
So it's
Right.
pretty awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, there's ASINs everywhere. I tell people there's ASINs. Once you understand and see this opportunity through the proper lens, finding great ASINs really isn't the struggle. It's building a good system and being disciplined about your system. That becomes the struggle more than anything. Because with the tools we have and the way the Amazon marketplace is just exploding with new shoppers and new ASINs and new brands constantly, there's so much opportunity out there. But I am curious, Ken, what are you looking for? Give me just a walkthrough of an ASIN that might catch your attention as being test worthy. Talk me through some of your parameters. I'd like to hear in your words, like, I'm going to sit down. My goal is to find 10 new ASINs as
Yeah.
quickly as possible. What do you do?
Sure. I'm looking definitely for something that's got some velocity to it, that I know that there's cells there. And then the next thing would, well, I mean, of course, that it would be a good ASIN that would have the right brand and
Right.
the right seller, that it doesn't have I don't like to sell on ones that have the brand on the ASIN. I know there's a lot of them where there's other sellers on there with the brand, but I tend to shy away from those ones.
Yeah. If the
I'm not,
brand is one of the many sellers selling it, like,
yeah,
this could be a problem
yeah,
someday. They may not
yeah.
like me. Yeah.
I just, I, I don't know what would happen. I know people are selling on there, but
Sure.
I just don't like
I mean, unnecessary risks
yeah,
are by definition unnecessary. It's
sure.
like there's so much out there. So yeah,
Yeah,
why not? Just toss it
sure.
aside. Maybe it
Yeah, and
would
I'm
be
not,
good, but yeah, there's more fish in the ocean. Keep going. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I sell on several listings where Amazon's on the listing,
Two.
and I'm not really afraid to do that. I'm pretty cautious, if I do it, of course, I'll test on there and see how it goes. But the in and out, where they're in stock and out of stock, I've done that. I've done pretty good with some A2A stuff. So a couple of my big sellers are actually I was buying from Amazon and selling it back on Amazon. So
On the same ASIN.
no, on a different ASIN, I buy it in bulk packages and then
Yeah.
you break it down
That's
and sell
definitely
it.
one way to do it. Yeah. You mentioned
Yeah,
the Amazon going in and out of stock too. You
yeah.
use the OOS search on Keepa.
I have that use that, and I definitely do that, and then I just look for I'll either click them out of stock on there to see if they're out, or I look for ASINs that will have no FBA sellers on them that are all
Mhm.
FBA, and then target those ASINs, and I've done very well with those ones. Are
Hmm.
some of the best ones that I found.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's a great strategy. There's no FBA sellers. People think that all sellers are equal and everyone's price sensitively shopping, but
sure.
I made a video and put it in the Facebook group just today. You'll want to go check it out, Ken. You probably haven't seen it yet. Uh, that shows for the first time a visual map of just how widely varied the buy box is for any given ASIN. It's a new Smart Scout feature.
Oh,
that shows you, at several ASINs that I pulled up, there's 9, 10, 15 different buy boxes
Uh,
in
all over
different
the
states of
country.
the country, right? And
Yeah.
it's showing with a color visual map.
Oh, wow.
Pretty cool. They've
Yeah.
dug some data in that no, I've never seen anyone else put out there. So
Oh,
hop into our Facebook group. Someone will help you
good.
find that video to check it
Oh,
out. But
I
the point
will.
I'm making is, that's a lot of we're discovering more and more all the time just how much underserved shelf space there is in Amazon's hundreds of warehouses. And it
Yeah.
sounds like you're starting to tap into some of that, saying, oh, okay, it's a bunch of merchant fulfilled sellers shipping from
Yeah.
their garages. All I got to do is send in a few FBA units. It doesn't really matter what warehouse Amazon sends it to.
Yeah.
It's going to be the fastest option
Sure.
for whoever lives near those warehouses. And they're probably going to pick mine. And I don't have to be the lowest price. I don't have to be anywhere near the buy box. Are you seeing much of
Yeah.
that above buy box action in your account?
I have seen some. I did kind of, I don't know if it's a seasonal thing with maybe the end of the year towards Q4 where they started hitting me with a lot of high price errors and different things that are making me lower my price. I haven't seen it in quite a while.
Yeah. Yeah.
So maybe that
The
was,
Q4, they get real price sensitive on
yeah,
Amazon. They want to be
sure.
and they'll put some pressure on the most popular items specifically.
Yeah.
Yeah. You'll see some of that.
So, yeah, so that had me back off of that a little bit, but I regularly sell above the buy box. And that's another thing that made me realize about Amazon that and when I'm looking at all this data, yeah, Keepa gives you a lot of data and you're looking at all this stuff, but it doesn't show you everything. They don't have it all. And I know because I'm selling stuff. And then when I go on the Keepa chart, my sales aren't on there. They're not on there. When you see the triangles and the
Yeah.
stuff and what the price is selling for, well, I just sold it for $5 more than that, but it doesn't show up.
Didn't even show up. Yeah. It doesn't even show up as a data point.
Right. So, I mean, how many other people are selling it for above that it's not showing up? And how much above are they selling it? And then, you don't know, like you said, they send it the map with the different buy boxes all over the country. I had no idea about that, and I was like, so I'm just looking at the data that I have and I'm trying to figure out how this is all working, right? And I'm like, yeah, I've got Seller Amp, I got this, it's showing me Keepa, showing me all of this stuff, but it's still not showing me everything. And I didn't understand it. So really the testing, right? Being
Yep.
able to test and send that thing in. And then, hey, all of a sudden I'm looking at stuff that I'm thinking, yeah, there's a lot of sellers on here and they're lower priced. And, so all this negative stuff, right? It's like, yeah, you're probably not going to sell on this. And I send them in. And I mean, sometimes they're selling before they even get checked in
Yeah.
on the thing,
Right.
and I'm like, what the heck's up with that one? It's like, man, those things were gone the first day.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's pretty surprising. You don't know unless you try, and you got to be able to try. So that's why really the replan model with the testing is just, I mean, it's great because you're not taking a lot of risk and you're getting to try it out. And yeah, it takes a little bit of time. You got to buy it, you got to send it in, you got to wait a few weeks for the check in and everything else to see. I mean, you may get lucky and it gets checked in quicker, but I mean, on average, it's going to be 4 to 6 weeks to get it all in there, and then you'll find out, But if you're continually doing that, you're gonna, have stuff in the pipeline all the time. And hey, that one worked, that one didn't, and let's rebuy those and not buy those. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's just yeah, like you said, it's a process, and just learning how it all works is pretty eye opening because all the stuff that I looked at when I first started doing, I was just so negative. I was like, "Oh, you didn't make any money on that." I'm thinking, where are these people buying this stuff at? They must be getting it, for some ridiculously low price from somewhere or something. And you know what? I mean, some people do, right? But by and large, they're not. They're buying it at the same place I can buy it at the same price I can find it for.
Yep. You hit the nail on the head there. New sellers to come into our Amazon community think that winning on Amazon means finding a cheaper price than my competition so I can win more sales. And yeah, you can do okay scanning 1,000 barcodes a day and finding 20 or 30 that you can flip at a profit while winning the buy box and beating the other sellers possibly because you found it on sale and they can't. That's not what we teach here.
Oh,
We teach you to start to recognize, and I love this phraseology. I love the visual that it creates. Find the underserved shelf space at Amazon. And one of my favorite stories, I can't tell it enough because it's one of my favorite illustrations of this exact principle in practice. It destroys all the skeptics who say, no, you got to win the buy box, Jim. You got to be a competitive price to win. No. How about this example? It's a student of ours in the community. He's was a coaching student, actually a kid from church. I mention him frequently because I've told this story many times lately. He came up to me like, hey, I want to learn how to sell on Amazon. I call him a kid. He's in his mid-20s, getting married soon. But I'm like, all right, well, here's a free copy of my book. Check it out. Let me know what you think. Happy to answer questions if you have any. Well, next thing I know, it's a couple months later, and he's a coaching student. He just jumped in and ran. I didn't even know, right?
Nice.
But he's coming back to me with this story. I got him on the podcast because his business is blowing up. And he comes back to me with a story and says, hey, I jumped on this ASIN that had 200 other sellers on it. 200 other sellers.
Yeah.
Very popular, wildly popular. And, this thing's dropping 90 times a month on Keepa. And I would never touch that ASIN, even as aggressive and as experimental and as low threshold of, I've got a high risk tolerance on I'll experiment with anything.
Sure.
But he jumped on it anyway, because he noticed there's not that many FBA sellers. There just weren't that many, even though it was selling a ton. He's like, all right, I'm going to go in as the highest price on this ASIN. So not only were there 200 sellers, he was the highest price of all of them.
Yeah.
And he sold 2,400 units in a few weeks.
That's awesome.
And the reason I like that story is it illustrates underserved shelf space.
Sure.
Underserved doesn't mean there's not enough sellers. Underserved means there's not enough FBA sellers with enough inventory to disperse among Amazon's hundreds of warehouses.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people who are hopping on Amazon today aren't price sensitive. They're time sensitive. They're speed sensitive. And if those customers are being ignored, they're going to pay far less than they were willing to for stuff that's going to arrive later than they wanted it.
That's right.
No one was there.
I've bought stuff for convenience and paid more and had no problem with it lots of times.
Everyone does.
Yeah, I totally understand it. I mean, I want it now. I want it here tomorrow.
There's millions of ASINs right now. This is the cleanest way I found to describe what I'm trying to say. Right now, today on Amazon, as we're sitting here recording this, millions of people have shopped on Amazon and paid less than they were willing to for products that will arrive later than they were willing to pay to receive them, right? So people are paying $20 for stuff that's going to arrive a week from now when they'd have been willing to pay 40 if they could have had it in a couple hours.
Sure.
Meaning it would have been in a warehouse near them. Yeah. They'd snag it right now. But they paid less and they're going to have to wait because no FBA seller filled that underserved shelf space. So it's not a matter of winning the buy box. It's not a matter of beating with price competition. Sure, there's a game over there that you can play if you want, but you don't have to play that game if you don't want to. You can sell to the people who are speed sensitive, time sensitive. They value their time more than saving a few bucks. And there's a lot that's most Amazon shoppers, is my experience, a lot of them out there. So I'm glad you're playing in that arena. It really does open up the number of ASINs that become test worthy of sending in a couple units, pricing them high. If Amazon slaps your wrist and goes, oh, you can't charge that much, you say, thank you very much. I'll just sell them at break even and not test that ASIN anymore because there's millions and millions out there. There's a billion plus, billion and a half ASINs. Take us 32 years to look at each of them for a second, and growing every day. I'll go find more ASINs.
Sure.
Sounds like you're learning these lessons and you're getting this confidence and you've gone from being that skeptic, like how do these people possibly make a profit, to there's more ASINs than I'll ever have time in the day and money to invest in, right? That's where you kind of start to see like this blue ocean of an opportunity. I love that you've made that journey. Yeah. Well, what else is on your mind, Ken? I loved hearing your story, man. Are you planning to come to Orlando by any chance with us? Can you get away from work?
I don't think I'm going to make it this year to Orlando. We have this in June, right?
It's the last 3 days of May.
Oh, in May. Yeah. We're leaving June 9th. We have a big, it's our 25th anniversary and we have,
congrats, man.
All the, thank you. We have all the kids and grandkids and everybody. We're taking the Alaska cruise and,
beautiful.
Got a big trip planned. So that's right. I think I had looked at that and I knew it was right around the time when we were leaving.
That's a lot of travel right before you got to hop on a boat, man. But that's beautiful, man. Enjoy your family and we'll have videos of all of it. It's not the same as being there by any means, but you can definitely pick it up, but it's going to be a great time. Sorry you can't make it, but beautiful. Congrats. 25 years. That's awesome.
No, I appreciate it. I would have never thought 25 years ago we'd be sitting here, but here we are.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a beautiful thing, man. We just celebrated our 30th, dude. And
Oh,
yeah,
congratulations.
we got married in kindergarten. So yeah. But yeah, it's been a beautiful journey. We've got grandkids on the way. We've got one already here, and it's
Awesome.
a beautiful
Grandkids are
season
the
of life,
best.
isn't it?
That's what I always tell people. I said, if I would have known how great grandkids are, I'd had them first.
If there was a way to do that, let's figure it out, right?
I know. Yeah. Cause it's
Oh,
like,
that's great. That's great.
yeah.
I love it, man. Well, Ken, it's a delight getting to know you, man. Did you have anything else for me? Anything else you were hoping we talked about today? Questions or anything for the listeners? I think this is a great episode as it is, but didn't want to cut you off too soon here.
Sure. I would just like to encourage anyone that may be on the fence about coaching or thinking, that it may be for them or doubtful that it could help them. I strongly encourage you to take that step if you want to be successful sooner, because you could muddle around and spend a lot of time and a lot of money trying to figure everything out. And I know the coaching staff that I've worked with, just everything about TAC and the all of the content. Everybody is so sincere and willing to help everybody I talk to. I mean, you could call anybody anytime or send them a message. They'll get back to you. It's not like, hey, yeah, we're going to ignore you because we are busy doing something else. People are really genuinely there to help. And the coaching is just at another level. I mean, I definitely like to, thank Brian Olson for his help and everything he's done. And we maybe had 6 or 7 sessions, and he, has helped me greatly. And so hopefully we'll see this and see the thanks I'm sending out to him. And uh,
I love
and
it.
yeah, just thank you for what you do. I mean, you put together a great program with PAC and your team, and I could tell as soon as I joined PAC and started watching the videos and the content there that it was different from everything else that I was watching. That it was, it had real genuine content that was not trying to, lead me down something or sell me a bunch of stuff or anything like that. It was just real, education to help me get somewhere I needed to be in my e-commerce business. And the more I've learned about PAC and you guys and the team, I mean, just the more impressed I am. So kudos to you guys.
Thank you for that. I love it. Yeah, we work hard at that. And part of our core mission is to create success stories and future leaders for our community. That's how we measure our success. So when we're pouring into newbies like you, someone who's new, clueless, a little skeptical, which is understandable. I mean, it's a big, scary world out there. The business of trying to teach people to make money online. There's a lot of scammers and clowns out there. We know that we're in that same pack until we prove that we're not, in your mind, right? So we were very intentional about this pouring in and giving and being available and being transparent, which is one of my favorite words. Like, yeah, here's what we're doing. Here's what works. And if you stick around long enough, you're going to learn all we know because we just give it away all day, every day.
Oh yeah.
But it's here and it's there and it's scattered about and it's on podcast episode, that you missed 6 weeks ago. And, if you want to go further faster and you're positioned for it, we say all the time, the only thing more expensive than our coaching program is not using our coaching program because it's going to take you just bits and pieces here and there and mistakes and oops, shouldn't have done that. It's going to be very pricey to go down that road. So yeah, we're very proud of it. And I appreciate you saying the nice things that you did. And it's an honor for me to get to work alongside great people like Brian and Leanna, who you mentioned, and 60 others who all have
Sure.
few core things they all have in common. We're very different people, very different backgrounds in many cases, but we have 2 things in common. We've all got a teacher's heart. We love seeing other people achieve and succeed and getting to share their stories. And we've all achieved at a high level ourselves in the stuff we teach.
Sure.
And that makes for a pretty solid coaching team, I think. And I really appreciate you saying those things that you did. I appreciate that very much, Ken. But man, that's a good place to end, I think. A little encouragement for everyone and a little gratitude here and there. Appreciate the time you gave us today, Ken.
But yeah, no, I appreciate you having me on, and hope my story helps someone, and maybe a little bit of encouragement to some other newbies out there just getting started.
I'm sure it will. I'm sure it will. Thank you, my friend. Well, let me talk to the listeners who joined us today. Ken, thank you for being here, of course. But the listeners, man, you guys are the best part of the show. We do this for you. We want you to feel encouraged and inspired. If you've got any questions, we'd love for you to reach out, have a conversation with us. We offer free half-hour consultations that will be basically your roadmap for going forward in e-commerce. If you want to have that chat with us, just go to silentjimdotcom/book a call, or just go to silentjim.com, click on coaching, takes you to the same area. And there's a text there, there's a phone number there. You can contact us anytime or hop on our schedule for a half-hour session. We'd love to help you get from where you are now to where you want to go and lay out a roadmap for you. Maybe some free resources that's all you need and want at this time. Maybe some low cost, our proven Amazon course that Ken talked about a lot today. It's $39 a month. That's it. Gives you everything we know about Amazon in modular content, giving you just what you need right when you need it. Or like Ken mentioned, if you want to go further faster, let's talk about coaching. Maybe that makes sense for you. It's not for everyone. We talk as many people out of it as we talk into it. Because again, you have to have the margin in your life to make good use of it. And we don't want anyone who doesn't have the margin, because you're unhappy, we're unhappy, and it doesn't go well otherwise. But if you're ready to go, let's go. But we love what we teach around here. We love what we do around here, and we'd love to make you our next success story. Well, Ken, one last time, brother. Good hanging out with you, man. Have a great trip to Alaska. Congrats on your 25 year. That sounds beautiful, dude. You have a beautiful summer lined up, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I really appreciate that. Thanks a lot.
Absolutely, man. Tell your wife thanks for loaning you to us here for an hour or so. And for
Sure.
the business building warriors out there, we have some good news for you. If you liked today's episode, scroll back in time. We've done hundreds of these. Very real people with very real stories, sharing very transparently the results that they're getting with the stuff that we have going on around here. And we'd love to have you part of our community. If you're not convinced yet, jump into our free Facebook group. Go see for yourself. 2,500 great success stories in there. We're good at what we do. We'd love to add you to our ranks. We'll have another good episode for you very soon. Talk to you then.